Om Namo Narayana, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om, Shiva Hum, Om. Welcome to another satsang with your host, Chuck the Yogi from the Yogi Cave. Let us go through this rabbit hole called the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, called 2020. Let us continue. Let's see, where was we? 2.41. Sattva Shuddhi Saumanasya Eka Agarya Indriya Jaya Atma Darshana Yogyat Vani Cha. Furthermore, purity of sattva, gladness, one-pointedness, mastery of the sense organs, and the capability of self-vision are achieved. So Patanjali basically is saying that these are the outcomes of everything that we've about previously, as far as the consequences, the outcomes, the good outcomes of what a yogi is seeking, right? And that is, sattva is a higher state or vibration, right? Because again, according to the Samkhya philosophy, you have sattva, and then the middle range, rajas, and then a lower range, tamas. Highest vibration, middle vibration, lowest vibration. So the yoga, or the yogi rather, or yogini, is able to sustain that sattvic vibration and maintain it. So this is what he's talking about. And everything else that comes with it. Gladness, one-pointedness, mastery of the sense organs, because another term for a yogi is svami. Svami. That means control over oneself and one's organs and that puts him above the category of just a rational animal. And the capability for self-vision. Self-vision is just the yogin is able to see within himself and see what's going on. He's able to achieve objectivity with the self, and that's extremely difficult. Me as a therapist, I understand that. It's really hard to be objective with yourself. So a yogi is able to achieve that. 2.42. Santosad Anutamaha Sukha Labaha. Through contentment, unexcelled joy is gained. Why? Because the yogini is doing what he or she needs to do at the moment. There is no I'm going to achieve, this is what's going to happen. No, he just allows for the unfoldment of what needs to happen, because ultimately what the yogini is trying to do is allow the karmas to fulfill themselves. So he or she is not trying to do this, that, or the other, just allowing for the unfoldment of the karmas so that they can unravel themselves, so that the yogin or yogini can ultimately become free from this construct. 2.43. Kaya Indriya Siddhir Ashuddhi Kshayat Tapasaha. Through austerity, on account of the dwindling of impurity, perfection of the body and the sense organs is gained. So what does that mean? Well, I've spent lifetimes trying to achieve that sense of mastery of the body. It was only recently that I've been able to achieve eating once a day. And the reason for that is because I had many karmas that I had to unravel first in order to get there. And I had to go through that 12-year vow and fulfill it in order to achieve that. And this is what the yogin does. He's set out to achieve this mastery, because without this mastery, there's a way that the body and the mind and so on finds to entrap the yogin into the construct, because that's the purpose of the construct, until the construct is no longer needed, until you kill the minotaur, right, in the labyrinth. The labyrinth is the construct. The minotaur is the self, the little self. So this is what the metaphor of the ancient Minoans is all about. Anyway, 2.44. Svadhyayat Ishta Devata Samprayogaha. Through self-study, the yogin establishes contact with the chosen deity. So this is very prevalent in Patanjali's yoga, and later on with the likes of Shankaracharya, who helped establish the akharas, or the regiments that help organize what we call Hinduism or the Sanatana Dharma, to help it, to protect it against duress and undue influence. So the idea of the Ishta Devata, or the chosen deity, or basically how do you want to address deity according to your own predilections and your own inclinations, what kind of archetype suits you best. So a good guru, when he initiates somebody, may find or may seek inspiration as to what is the best archetype for this or that person to work out the karmas that this or that person is working on at the moment. So this is what it's about, and that's the beauty of the Sanatana Dharma, which allows for that flexibility. This is not something that you necessarily see outside of the Dharmic traditions, right? There's only one formula, and that one formula fits everybody, whether you like it or not, right? So flexibility is a very nice thing to have. Anyway, 2.45. Samadhi Siddhir Ishvara Pranidanat. Through devotion to the Lord comes about the attainment of ecstasy. So again, as Patanjali has stated before, the Lord is a means to an end, right? A stepping stone towards that which is called samadhi, or ecstasy, and not just a glimpse of it, but a constant and never-ending experiencing of it. Tattvam asi, right? As it's said in the ancient scriptures, particularly in the Upanishads and in the Vedas, this understanding that the little self, or Atma, equals Brahma, or the big self. So this is what Patanjali is alluding to. 2.46. Sthira Sukham Asana. The posture should be steady and comfortable. Okay, so this is the essence of asanas when it comes to Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, right? And it's just good to clarify that the idea of asanas, or postures, was not as elaborate as it is now. We're talking about over 2,000 years ago. So the only criteria for postures back then was that it be comfortable, right? So it was only in the last 500 years or so that this Hatha Yoga developed to the extent that it did, right? And that's what you see mostly in yoga studios today, is the yoga of postures, right? But this is why I consider the Yoga Sutra Patanjali so important. It's because it shows you a deeper and different perspective of yoga, and it shows that postures are not as emphasized as they may be in other traditions. So it just shows that there are other ways of addressing yoga, right? Because yoga has kind of trickled its way into the West in a certain kind of way, and Westerners have obtained a kind of skewered vision of what yoga is, and that's fine. But this is what we're here for, is to try to provide a broader and more universal way of seeing and experiencing yoga. Anyway, one more. 2.47. Prayatna Shaitilya Ananta Samapatibhyam. It is accompanied by the relaxation of tension and the coincidence with the infinite. Again, what matters, and I'm going to leave it here, is that the posture does not get in the way. The point of that is that the body should aid in meditation. It should not be an obstacle. And that's why yogis do what they do as far as their diet and the restrictions that they do and all this other stuff, is so that the body is not an obstacle to achieve samadhi. So, with that said, we'll leave it here. Till next time. Om Namo Narayana. Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva Om. Shiva Hum. Jai Ma. Jai Ma.